Stephanie, what I find amazing is over the weekend, I never know what I'm going to have to really read up on. And what I really read up on this weekend was a changing dynamic Latino vote. With a vengeance, they voted for Bernie Sanders in Nevada, didn't they?
Yes, and that was the real significance of the Nevada outcome, which is that he, unlike in 2016, was able to win the Latino vote. And I think that sets him up for a strong showing on Super Tuesday, where states like California are also voting. And it looks like he's got unstoppable momentum at this point. Democratic voters go to the polls on Saturday in South Carolina, where Joe Biden is ahead in the polls, but Bernie Sanders is catching up. So, you know, unless I think some of those candidates drop out, some of the candidates who've done not as well, unless they start dropping out, it seems hard to see how Bernie Sanders can be stopped.
Well, Texas is not the Texas of Lyndon Baines Johnson, or for that matter, George Bush the Younger. Does Senator Sanders go to Charleston on Tuesday and do a debate for Texas?
Well, look, I think the outcome of that debate will be very crucial, and I think all the firepower will be focused on Bernie Sanders because of the momentum. I expect the attacks on him from all the other candidates to intensify during that debate, and that people will continue to question whether or not some of his plans add up. You know, how he's going to pay for all these expensive programs that he's proposing. But even if Joe Biden does well in South Carolina, I think Bernie Sanders will be so far ahead in terms of the delegate count and is set up so well for Super Tuesday that it looks hard to stop him.
Stephanie, I know I've read some parallels actually about Bernie Sanders, how he's doing in the pollings, and maybe how Donald Trump was doing in the pollings right before the last election. But if we look at the polls now, would he beat President Trump on a national level?
Many of the polls do show him beating Trump nationally, and some polls show him beating Trump even in those crucial swing states. But I would argue it's early days yet. And, you know, there are some crucial swing states where, like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, where I think it will be very hard for Democrats to win with Bernie Sanders at the top of the ticket.
Yeah, and this is something that, the markets have been looking at, and the fact that actually some of the policies that Bernie Sanders has been talking about is not necessarily market friendly. Is there a chance that the centrists make a comeback?
Well, I think the real question here is, even if Bernie Sanders continues to do well, will he win a majority of the delegates going into the July convention, or does he just win a plurality of delegates, in which case you have a contested convention? And I think that is really where the question marks remain. And how does he win a contested convention? And how long do some of those other candidates stay in? And they've been able to stay in longer because of the way fundraising has worked this cycle. Right. Just look at Elizabeth Warren, how much she was able to raise based on her debate performance last week.
Stephanie, I want to look at the bar chart again in the Nevada results. This came up at least 3 times yesterday, which is, why are these people doing single digits? Why are they still in the race? Mr. Steyer, the senator from Minnesota, even Senator Warren. I mean, at this point, is it unusual to you to see single digit people staying in the race?
Well, I think after South Carolina, it will be very difficult for some of those candidates to stay in the race. I would agree. But I think it is just the nature of the race this cycle, which is that many have been able to raise money from individual donors to stay competitive, or to try to stay competitive in those races. But I think the pressure will be intense for some of them to drop out if they fail to do well on Saturday in South Carolina. And I think for sure after Super Tuesday, they will be forced to drop out.